Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Max. I'm currently a junior at Cornell University. I'm currently 20, and in 8th grade I came to study in the United States from Taiwan, which I previously
Why did you want to study in the U.S.?
I wanted to study in the U.S. because I wanted to play chess and also pursue other extracurricular activities. I also thought that I was more fluent in English than I was in Chinese. In terms of studying in the U.S., I thought it gave me more freedom, definitely, to pursue whichever pursuits I chose. I thought chess was particularly interesting, so I personally pursued that, but a lot of people pursue music or other extracurriculars that are valued by the colleges here in addition to the academics that we study.
In high school, what classes do you still remember?
There were a few classes that were quite interesting at Concord Academy. Among them, I would say that environmental science and German were the most interesting to me. In environmental science, the teacher only had 6 students, so she split us up into small groups and had debates during class, and also we had some experiments that we had to perform at the lake next to our school, which was quite interesting. Other than that, I quite remember German because it was when I first picked up German. I took German all 4 years in high school. The requirement's actually 3 years, but I really liked my class, so I continued to pursue it. And even here at Cornell, I'm continuing to pursue German. I think hopefully it can become a lifelong hobby, and if I can gain fluency in it, perhaps I have opportunities in Germany in the future.
Could you explain the education in the U.S. and why it's so free comparing to Taiwan?
In terms of the education systems in both Taiwan and the U.S., I think the U.S. is probably most flexible. I haven't really experienced the Taiwanese education systems in terms of high school and university, but I do know that in the U.S. we're given a lot of freedom to pick our classes and really get to know a subject deeply and understand the subject matter. Like, for example, in high school I had classes like calculus and kind of advanced chemistry that were more college subjects than high school subjects, but I got exposure to these because they gave me a really great foundation to start college and also gave me some college credits. Maybe in Taiwan it's not as flexible. I'm not exactly sure since I didn't have a Taiwanese education system.
Is there any people or teachers that helps you the most when you're going to the U.S.?
So I guess back in high school, it was a little difficult for me to fully understand the purpose and uses of learning literature and kind of deeper English, I would put it. In college, I started to realize that it was very useful to be able to write and kind of state a statement that can be backed up by facts. I think this was largely helped by my English teacher back in high school. Her name was Abby, and she kind of taught me how to write in a way that other people understood, and second, I could make a broad statement about what I believed in. I think this was pretty helpful for me, both in college and in high school. And throughout my college career, I've been writing pretty well, I would say. I am a communication class TA, and also I worked at the communication center where I helped other people with their writing. I think writing is a really useful skill and can be applied in many places, and I think it also gives you a boost above other students in terms of grades and other classes. So I guess in this respect, Abby really helped me. And other than that, she also helped me get into college because she recommended me as a student, which I thought was extremely helpful since high school was not really my academic peak, I would say, but I definitely picked up a lot from her classes.
I know that you have some experience studying German. Could you talk about how and when you started learning German?
So back in high school, when I took German, it's a long time ago, let's say, the teacher kind of started out without any English. We came into the classroom and she'd use really simple phrases and words that we could pick up either from the textbook or from her explanations. Her explanations were sometimes more physical. She would point things out, really tell us what these words were and what these words meant, kind of using her body to kind of express what the words were, or kind of using objects to tell us what the nouns were. I thought this was a really helpful system, even though in the beginning I struggled since I wasn't as familiar with the phrases or vocabulary as my classmates. It was pretty helpful to start directly from German, though, I'd say, because it really gave you some exposure to the language, and I think overall I picked up a lot from high school. 4 years of German classes with basically little to no English. I guess freshman year, from time to time, I had to ask my classmates in Chinese or English to tell them to explain to me the words, but I guess it happens to everyone.
Is there any hobby or club experience that helps you in your career?
So prior to entering the States in 8th grade, I actually studied in the US in 2nd and 3rd grade. I picked up chess at that time, kind of as a hobby. I really enjoyed it because it gave me a lot of time to think about problems and also meet new people that I wouldn't have otherwise met. At the same time, when I was in Taiwan, it was a little difficult to continue pursuing my kind of hobby. After coming back to the US in 8th grade, I continued to pursue it and went to a variety of tournaments where I won some awards, which actually ultimately got me into high school. And in high school, I continued to pursue it. I set up a chess club with other to support chess and kind of further chess. We would get together, I would say, like once a week, and then we'd just play some chess, either during dinner or just like on a weekly basis somewhere else. In sophomore year of high school, I started attending Model UN conferences with my friends, with the encouragement of my parents. I think that was really helpful in both developing my speaking and also developing friendships that will last hopefully a lifetime. So in high school, I started by attending conferences that my school went to, which were pretty interesting, and I would say they were pretty, they had a strong educational foundation because they're mostly at Ivy League or large universities that were able to host more vigorous events and kind of debates. So what Model UN is basically people get together and have a debate, and everyone has the stance of a certain country. Like, for example, I could represent the US while someone else could represent China at a conference, and then we could debate on policies, we can debate on actions. Kind of depends on which conference you're placed in. In junior year, I was able to set up a conference with some of my friends in China after I attended a few China Model UN conferences, of course. And that was a really great experience because I got to chair a committee myself and to also make a lot of really good friends that I still keep in touch with today and still travel together, hang out together. Just I think through Model UN you meet a certain type of personality, usually more extroverted if they're if they're more involved, they're probably pretty extroverted, able to express their thoughts and kind of have a certain educational background through the research they've done. Yeah, so I guess Model UN has really influenced my life. I guess since I started college, I didn't really pursue that, but I still keep in touch with most of the friends I made in high school, and it's really made a lasting impact for me.
You're doing well in some other club. Could you tell us
So
more?
the Cornell Hedge Fund was actually set up, I think last year or 2 years ago, sometime very recently. However, it got a lot of traction with people interested in finance. When I first joined the club, I literally knew nothing about finance, really didn't know what I was doing, really didn't know what finance was, and I took a class in finance and also had the help of my associate at the time because the club is kind of set up like a company. There's like a CEO, there's like a CFO, there's like a COO, there's like also like analysts, associates, and kind of fund managers, which are kind of like MDs. So you start off as an analyst, you get some training in financial modeling, you get training in kind of business valuations. I personally built a pitch book with my team, of course under the guidance of my associate the first year, of how to build a pitch book, how to build a valuation from scratch. That was in the long short equity fund, and that was, we're supposed to pitch long and shorts. I personally pitched 2 long pitches, and that was quite helpful for my advancement in finance, I would say. Throughout the process, my associate gave me a lot of materials to guide me. We also had kind of video training courses, had someone from Goldman Sachs, a prior intern from Goldman Sachs, teach us kind of valuation, how they kind of ran it at their company, and also how to progress in either investment banking, equity research, or some other financial career. It was really helpful for me. This year I'm going to start off as an associate, which means I'm going to be leading projects of my own. Through my summer experience as an investment banking intern, I was able to gather some valuation skills I think can bring to the table, that I can bring to the table, and I'm pretty happy about that. So after I'm an associate, I'll be able to teach some analysts hopefully how to model, how to do some basic pitch books, how to align things in the PowerPoint, kind of basic skills you need in investment banking and any other financial career. So at Cornell, I'm not sure about other universities, but at Cornell, our clubs kind of have an admissions process and an interview process for that admission. I think it's really helpful. It makes the environment actually really tough, but I think it's actually really helpful for us students trying to look for internships and interviews, because simply having gone through multiple clubs interviews, I was able to gather a lot of interview experience, get a lot of feedback, and I think that was very, very helpful for me moving forward. Other than that, when you start a club, which I kind of did, helped in co-founding Ascent, we were able to get a lot of members, and through that we also had to interview our members and make sure that they had a little bit of business background and were able to be trained for the career place, the marketplace for work, I guess. And after they were admitted, we gave them even more training, and kind of, it was a training experience on our own too. We invited some speakers to come over, and that was really helpful for the club to move forward. And other than that, we connected with the Metro chapter in New York City, where we got a lot of resources from them. This year we're actually going to attend several events in New York City and also set up some events on campus for both our members and other people that might consider being our members in the future. Currently, I serve as the VP of Professional Development in Cornell Club of Taiwan, which is kind of a business club for Taiwanese students. I wouldn't say it's 100% business related though, because we do have other social events that we host. We like to think of it as a home away from home, where we have kind of the food from our home, maybe the music or the games from our home that we can share as a group. And that's been a really great experience for me, because I was able to meet a lot of Taiwanese people that helped me, and I look forward to giving back and also setting up events. So one of our largest events that we host is actually in New York City in, I think it's the TECO, so Taiwan Economic Cooperation or something, in New York City, in Midtown, where we are able to invite speakers that have a Taiwanese background that also have developed substantial businesses in the US. Last year we had a lot of participants come. We also had the press. We were on several newspapers for different newspaper organizations, and this year we're going to host it, I believe in the fall, also in New York City, probably also at TECO, and we really look forward to setting up the experience so that more people can attend our events.
What kind of education your hotel school offers different?
Ever since I came to the hotel school, I felt like my education was kind of revolved around giving me a solid background in both hotel management and kind of business in general. I think it's been a really helpful process for me, because I've gotten to first discover what I love doing, and second, pursue whichever subjects that I chose. So I guess how Cornell works is you can have majors and minors, and I think this is the same for other universities. My major is hotel administration, but I'm also going to probably pick up a minor in real estate, a minor in information science, and a minor in German. So these are all some of my hobbies and kind of passions that I really want to pursue. And in terms of the hotel school, I'm mostly concentrating on corporate finance. So I guess in the hotel school, we're able to pick concentrations which are kind of like miniature majors. Yeah. So In terms of the classroom environment, I would say it's pretty discussion focused. Most of the time it's not too lecture heavy. I know for some of the engineering classes it's probably a little more focused on lecture and problem sets. But in the hotel school, most of the time it's discussion focused, and even in some of my more academic classes it's just more reading and then also a discussion focused lecture, I would say. Yeah. So last semester, or spring semester, sophomore year, I took a core class at the hotel school, which was called Hospitality Development. It was a really interesting class for me, simply because we got to look at the floor plans and really understand what was in a hotel and how a hotel operated, how to really build a hotel from the ground up. It was a really great experience for me because I don't think I would have ever gotten the experience of how to understand every corner of a hotel, that most doors in a hotel are exactly 3 feet, because there is some like regulation that involve doors and entryways and things like that. So I guess I really appreciate the opportunity, even though the experience was definitely pretty rough for me. It was a very hard class, simply because there was so much content to cover. But I think with that experience, I moved forward to staying at really nice hotels and understanding how they work. I guess that's a plus. Yeah, other than that, I thought it was interesting because I really noticed the passion that some other students in the class had for development. There were some architecture students that came to take the class. There were some hotel school students which plan to be developers in the future, and just seeing their kind of curiosity to the subject was highly interesting and motivating to me, even though the subject itself didn't really attract me as a subject. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Do you have like experience about graduate school class? Could you talk about that?
Yeah, I've gotten to take several courses in the Johnson School, which is the management business program at Cornell. And throughout these classes, I thought they were particularly interesting because I got to take classes with other graduate students, other MBA students, and things like that. I also got to pick up a more solid financial background and strategic background, I guess, since I took a business strategy class. So I guess the professors at Cornell are mostly either pretty well known in their industry or pretty academically sound in their background. So I guess the courses that I took were really helpful for me. For example, in my business strategy class, the professor actually served on several boards, and he had a lot of experience kind of guiding the business through several stages and to another direction that was more profitable or more sustainable. In terms of my other classes, I also took a valuations course at Johnson, which was pretty interesting and I think helped me really understand how to value a corporation.
Could you talk about your intern experience?
When I interned at Deloitte my freshman summer, I really didn't know much about anything. I learned a lot of accounting my freshman year so I could be prepared for my internship. However, in Taiwan, I felt like the work was good and I did get some financial background in the audit practice. However, I felt like the majority of the time I spent there, I learned a lot about how Taiwanese people interacted. It was actually my first real interaction with kind of Taiwanese people ever since I came to the U.S., since most of my interactions have been with people from the U.S. or other people from other countries. So it was a really great experience for me because I really connected with the people I worked with, and it felt more like a felt like a cultural learning experience for me, since I had departed from Taiwan quite early. Yeah, so throughout the internship, I learned some stuff about Excel and also learned some stuff about finances and accounting. And I also made a lot of friends, which I really deeply appreciate their help when I didn't really know how to do certain tasks or learn certain programs. when the program began, we had 4 days or so of training where we were put in a room and kind of given PowerPoint training, much like I received at school in Chinese, which I had some time adjusting. I spent some time adjusting to, but I did end up picking up the material, and I learned how to use their software, which was pretty interesting for me because I was able to really pick up how a case is really set up, how the company gets revenue, and how the company kind of organizes all of the millions of files they need to deliver to clients and specifically to the SEC because of filing concerns for audit. Ever since January, I picked up a kind of part-time internship at an investment bank in New York City. So Kerwin Rose is the name of it. It's a very small boutique investment bank, and from January till May, I kind of worked part-time, helped them pull some analyses, specifically through programs that I was offered, and it was quite an interesting program for me because I learned how to value a business and also do some research about kind of the company's finances and how to project them. During summer, I continued this internship and worked full-time in their New York office down on 140 Broadway, which was a really great experience for me because I met a lot of different people and worked on a variety of deals, both in the financials parts and in the kind of pitch book creation, deal creation parts. That was definitely an experience for me because prior to that I really didn't have any finance experience, so I'm kind of slowly picking up valuation and being able to explain to someone my findings, being able to talk kind of about a deal that might potentially happen to the managing director, which was really helpful for me. Specifically, I worked on several deals that haven't really gone through but are kind of in the deal development process. I worked on pitches to sell a Brazilian pharmaceutical company, worked on another pitch to restructure a pharmaceutical company in the US that was kind of developing a new product and also having some contract management services from other companies. I'd say there were about 10 interns in my office, and I worked with the other interns to kind of create pitch books that were sent to kind of the associate or the analyst on duty. They gave us feedback and then we would go back and correct it. It was kind of a slow improvement process because in the beginning, pitch book creation was very difficult for me. I kind of just used the standard template slides, but near the end I learned to make templates of my own, kind of display information in a cool, innovative way that could also get to our clients. That was definitely the most interesting part outside of the valuation. So in terms of valuation, I ran several operating models, discounted cash flow models, comparables analysis, precedent transactions that helped us truly gauge the value of a company and then put it into a football field, which is kind of a visual representation of what the company is worth at that given time. So throughout the internship, I really picked up a lot of skills that I think are transferable. Now, if I work in any company, I will try to actively find ways to drive value for the company and understand why. I also learned to understand how learning a financial statement and really being able to utilize a financial statement has helped me and will continue to help me in the future. So during my internship experience, I've been able to meet a lot of different people from different countries. Of course, there were people from the States, there were people from China, but there were also people from Canada, and also I worked with a person from India, which was quite interesting. She worked over the phone and over Skype. So I guess that was a pretty all-encompassing international experience for me because I was able to work with different people who had different traditions. I know for a fact that our company is a little more flexible with the lunch times because people really tend to go at different times. Like some people work until 3 and then get lunch. Some people get lunch right after the meeting at the office at 11:30. I like to stay at like noon and then go get some lunch and then come back and work. But different people have different habits, and kind of an international culture really needs to support the different habits and also keep people on track to being efficient, because if you restrict people too much, it kind of decreases their efficiency. But if you give them too much flexibility, it also might make the company less operational. So it was really helpful to look at how my manager managed both the interns and kind of the full-time employees at the company.
Suggestion to those who want to work or study in the U.S.
I think I have 2 primary suggestions for people who want to come to the U.S. First of all, I think English is definitely a skill that you will always need, specifically writing. I guess in my school, I really learned that if you can write something well, even if your content doesn't always make sense, you have that structure that is able to back a point, and then you will be able to pull off kind of a decent report regardless of your background in the subject. So I guess writing is definitely an essential skill that I would strongly encourage. I think even some people at Cornell and at other well-known universities don't have a particularly strong writing ability, and I think it will give you really good benefits if you are able to excel at it early in life. Secondly, I think one important factor that I would consider is the way you approach certain problems and certain activities. So I guess I'm a more open person, but I don't think that is kind of the contribution to my success kind of today. And I guess most of it comes from a positive approach to things. If you really keep an open mind and have a positive approach to all the activities you pursue, I think you'll be given a lot more opportunities to really find what your true passion is, and also find who your true friends are.
Just suggest students to attend summer school before going to study in the US.
One way to kind of improve English writing and kind of conversational English is to come to a summer program in the US. I know it is pricey for certain individuals, but if you are able to, I would strongly recommend studying either in the US or even the UK, because I know some people that studied in the UK that also have really good English. So if you ever get a chance, come take a class at a university, maybe several classes during summer. It will really help you prepare for studying in the US. Also, I think if you really come study at Cornell or at another university, you'll really get a sense of what the school is like. You'll get a sense of what the professors are like. You'll get a sense of what the school, like the physical locations are like. Like for example, Cornell is a huge school, so you would never know that unless you come here, because you have to walk for hours every day. So yeah, so depends. I would say in general, attending a summer program here is definitely helpful. 如果你有问题，还是想知道更多关于我在美国读书的一些故事的话，你可以直接 email 我，或者是 email 这个台湾 Youth Forum。谢谢。